Welcome to Behind the Law with Justin Clark, the show that takes you behind the law and answers your toughest legal questions.
Welcome back. It's Behind the Law featuring attorney Justin Clark of Gregory and Clark. Of course, the radio edition heard every single Sunday, and the television version comes up on WRDQ TV 27, 10:30 on a Saturday morning right after the RP Funding Show. So it makes a good bookend show. They certainly do. Now, there is a bill that's been passed by the Florida legislature. It's sitting on the governor's desk as we speak. And so right now, this bill is very important to people in Florida. The initial purpose of the law was to accelerate the foreclosures. We lead the nation in foreclosures, and they sit. Well, now the legislature has decided to try to make ways that the foreclosures can move through sooner and that this glut of homes can get put back on the market. Sounds good when you say it fast. There's a lot of people in Florida that don't like it.
And let me tell you, someone who's really not going to like it is the person who's going through a foreclosure on a secondary home as well. Someone who's trying to save a secondary home. Maybe they have a tenant in the home. Mm-hmm. It's now treated almost like you're a tenant in the house. Let me tell you what happens now. Under this bill, if you have a home that's not your primary residence that's going through foreclosure, the bank can require you to put into the court registry the monies that they claim are owed to them. And if you don't, a writ of possession can be issued and kick you out of the house, or your tenant out of the house. Now, the bill says nothing about the Protecting Tenants at Foreclosure Act, which says that if you're a tenant in a house that gets foreclosed upon, you have at least 90 days to live there, okay? Under the Florida law, it says you can get kicked right out if you don't put the money in the court registry. It's almost like a landlord-tenant case, okay? In a landlord-tenant case, if you're the tenant and the landlord says you haven't paid them, you have to literally put the money that is alleged to be owed into the court registry. Under this new law, the Fast Track Foreclosure Act, as we'll call it, you have to do the same thing if it's a secondary home, okay? And we're talking about a lot more money, a significant amount of money that these people are going to have to put there. And if not, they can kick you right out, which is great for the bank. Now the bank has 17 more houses in the neighborhood that they own that they're not going to cut the grass for. The pool's going to go green. Alligators and snakes swimming around in the pool. It's great. I mean, your neighborhood's going to flourish. Of course it is. Stupid. It's stupid, okay? That's all I have to say. And if you're the person who owns the house and it's a secondary house for you, if you don't put the money in the court registry, you get kicked out, or your tenant gets kicked out, or your mom, whoever lives there, see you later. I guess you get kicked out. I don't know how it's going to work with the Protecting Tenant at Foreclosure Act, but I guess we'll find out. Good job, guys. I like that idea, too.
Is that going to start a wave of lawsuits from tenants who are going to sue the landlord and say, you got me kicked out?
You think so?
I got a lease with you.
Good luck. You either put the money in the court registry or your tenant's going to sue you for whatever, I guess renting because you're in foreclosure or something. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but that's certainly part of the law that was passed by this legislator, overwhelmingly passed at that. That's sitting on the governor's desk. I sure hope he vetoes it. My understanding is he has gotten more support to not veto it and to allow it to come into law than he has to veto it. I don't know why. I'm confused, and I'll talk about this. I'm going to talk generally about this for a minute from really an Orlando, Central Florida perspective. How many articles have you read recently about the housing market skyrocketing? I mean, you do a show right before mine, talking, and I know that Bustamante is always talking about how, oh my gosh, there's no inventory, the prices are skyrocketing, right? Isn't that good? Don't we want the prices to go up? This foreclosure thing has been a bit of almost like a governor on the prices going up because not everyone can go buy a house right now. If all of a sudden these thousands and thousands and thousands of houses are released, the market's going to collapse, or this hedge fund, which we keep talking about, is going to scoop all of them up, okay? The hedge fund's going to buy all of them. So they're going to kick all of these good people who had trouble paying their mortgage out of their house so that this hedge fund can come in here and make billions of dollars. And in 2 years, mark my words, the market's going to collapse again. So I think it's working fine right now. The foreclosures are taking a while. Thankfully, it's helping the prices go up because they're not sitting a million foreclosed homes out there on the market all at one time. It makes perfect sense. I think it's going great. I think this market needs a slow recovery because if it all recovers at once, it's going to fall down again. Listen, we are and we're so used to here in Florida, especially in Central Florida, we're kind of entrepreneurial when it comes to the real estate market. We are. And people find ways to make money in the real estate market. And people have found money. All the realtors I'm talking to now, they're doing pretty well. They are. They're busy. There's not a lot of inventory. But if all the foreclosures come online at once, it's gonna screw everything up. I think it's going great just how it is. There's no reason for this. I can't think of anything really good that this does. I can't.
How many thousands of foreclosures are out there?
I think there's approximately 300,000 across the state of Florida, approximately.
And if we're talking cycles of 45 days, that's amazing.
It's a lot all at once. But again, it's at a bad time because these hedge funds that are buying up every one of these properties they're going to be in heaven. They're going to scoop up most of them. But what does a hedge fund want to do? They want to make money, okay? And they want to make money by buying now and renting them and then selling them for a profit later. And the market's going to go up so much, and we're going to have another bust. Watch and see. I mean, I have a lot of clients who are going to really suffer because they're going to get kicked out of their house. And when my clients are going to get kicked out of their house, there's really nothing for them to rent. Their credit's bad, so they can't go buy one of these. I don't know what they're going to do for the next couple of years. I guess they're all going to rent from a hedge fund for a couple of years until their credit gets better. So, I mean, congratulations, hedge fund, as well. I think this is going to be great for you. So, homeowners associations, congrats. I mean, you guys are going to do great in this. Hedge funds, great job. Regular people like me and you, I don't know.
We're going to take a short break, but before we go, are you struggling to make your mortgage payments? Refinancing your mortgage can be an easy solution that saves your home. And Justin Clark has worked on hundreds of these cases. Just give the offices of Gregory and Clark a call right now at 321-282-1055 for a free consultation. We'll give you some options, and we'll be right back.
You can find more Behind the Law on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Gregory and Clark, where there's plenty of past episodes with valuable information on how to save your home from the mortgage companies. Check it out.
Ask your question live. Tune into FM 96.5 WDBO Sundays at noon and ask Justin your question.
Banks say miss 4 payments, miss 5 payments. We'll talk to you. So your credit's in the tank. You're below 600.
Right.
And so you go to an apartment complex in Orlando right now, or you go to a landlord and you try to apply for a rent. You're going to be homeless.
Stay tuned. Justin Clark will be right back with more Behind the Law. Welcome back to Behind the Law, the show that takes you behind the law and answers your toughest legal questions.
Welcome back to another edition of Behind the Law with Justin Clark. We're continuing last week's discussion about the new faster foreclosure bill that the legislature has passed and how it will affect you. I don't see how they can even find a rental with a hedge fund because most of them, when they've gone through the modification, the banks say miss 4 payments, miss 5 payments. We'll talk to you. So your credit's in the tank. You're below 600.
Right.
And so you go to an apartment complex in Orlando right now, or you go to a landlord and you try to apply for a rent. You're going to be homeless because there's no way he's going to rent to you with a 500 credit score.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the specifics on who the hedge funds will rent to or not rent to, but it's going to be tough. I mean, rent's going to be really expensive around here too. I know that much, and I think it's really funny how they've worded this law because it really starts by saying this law, and I'm paraphrasing here, of course. This law is meant to make the banks be more specific in their complaint. We want them to show that they have standing, to show that they can foreclose on these people in an effort to fast-track foreclosures. So it's not like punishing the bank saying, okay, bank, we want you to make sure you tell us that you can really do this. We want you to tell us you can do this so we can kick these people out really fast. You see what I mean?
Because if there's no time for discovery.
No.
So the bank can say all they want.
There's no time for discovery at all. The way this is written, 45 days from the time of filing a complaint, they can basically essentially kick you out of your house.
All right, if you've got questions for Justin Clark about the process now and what the process could be if this bill goes through, 407-297-9696 or 855-297-9696. And what's going to happen to people who are in the pipeline right now? Maybe you're going through some sort of an evaluation of your bank to get into a short sale or into a modification. Does that suddenly stop?
Well, I mean, I think it does. I mean, I don't know how we're going to have time to do it especially, again, when the homeowners associations can force the banks to do this. The banks can still, I suppose, not force it through. But if there's an HOA involved, the HOA, even if you're paying the HOA, technically they could still force it through. I don't know that they would, but they technically can. There's only one. I can only find one good thing in this entire law for me and you, for the people, okay? And that is that they've decreased the time you can file a motion for deficiency or get a deficiency judgment, decreased it from 5 years to 1 year, okay? Let me explain this a little bit. So if you have a house and you're underwater and the bank comes to foreclose upon you, they have the right to sue you for the difference in what you owe them and what your house is worth at the date of foreclosure auction sale. Okay, they can do that. As of right now, technically they have 5 years to do that. This law, starting July 1st, 2013, will say that they only have 1 year. But I'm still confused because the law says they have 1 year from the date of certificate. I don't know what certificate they're talking about. Is it the certificate of sale, the certificate of title? I don't know. It also says, or deed in lieu. A deed in lieu is where you sign the property back over to the bank and say, okay, bank, here's your property back. Just don't come after me for the deficiency, and we'll give it right back to you. However, the vast majority of banks prefer a short sale to a deed in lieu, okay? In fact, most of the time they say, well, we need you to try a short sale for 120 days before we even consider a deed in lieu. So I would say in my practice, 90% of our files get closed via short sale, 10% via deed in lieu. This law says nothing about short sale, not one thing. So I don't know, maybe they still have 5 years if you do a short sale to come after you. The way it's written here, it doesn't tell me. It doesn't say anything. So it's confusing. So even this one little section that helps people a little bit is really not helping them because it says it's totally silent about short sales.
Let me pose this question to you. You've watched the economy in Central Florida for a long time. The question I pose to you and essentially the governor and the legislature is this. If somebody owns a house, they come in and they buy a piece of property in a neighborhood, they're the ones who are going to put in a beautiful hedge. Maybe they're going to plant a garden. Maybe they're going to build a swimming pool and a bird cage. A person who's renting has no vested interest in improving a home or adding anything, but just merely cutting the lawn when they have to keep up with the HOA standards and the local codes. There's no reason for a renter to go anyway to put in a fountain, to put in beautiful furniture, to do anything because they're only temporary. To me, that's counterproductive to the economy of the state.
I agree. I think that this knee-jerk reaction is really going to create some real problems for us in the state. I'm very disappointed in our legislator. I really am. I don't know how this happened so quickly. I think it's a total reaction, as I said earlier, to the news reports about Florida being number one in foreclosures now. But again, I fully believe that Florida being number one in foreclosures has helped us get the market back on track a little bit, but not let it go out of control. It's slowly climbing back, and it's getting back to where it used to be because we're not having a million foreclosures come online all at the same time, like we're about to.
And at least we were the one state where people had a fighting chance in court because these foreclosures in Florida, by my understanding from you and other shows, had to go through a court of law. Now, that just sort of really is eliminated with 45 days.
On the other side of this break, I know we got to go. I want you to play devil's advocate here. I want you to be the listener who's there saying, let's kick these people out of their house. Can you think of anything? I mean, I want you to ask me from the other side.
That's going to take some pondering because I don't see anything positive about this thing.
Anyone in this room, think about it.
We'll try to come back and play devil's advocate. 407-297-9696 or 855-297-9696. We're behind the law with Justin Clark.
If you're having any legal problems that could cost you your home, remember that the office of Gregory & Clark is your one-stop shop for saving your home. Short sales, foreclosure, bankruptcy, refinancing, it's all under one roof. Just give them a call right now at 321-282-1055, and you can schedule a free consultation. We'll be right back.
Ask your question live. Tune into FM 96.5 WDBO Sundays at noon and ask Justin your question.
I think we'd be better off foreclosing on these people. And make me sound like a jerk. Get them out of our neighborhoods and get people in there that can make the house payment so it doesn't affect our home value.
Stay tuned. Justin Clark will be right back with more Behind the Law. Welcome back to Behind the Law, the show that takes you behind the law and answers your toughest legal questions.
Hey, welcome back to Behind the Law, featuring Justin Clark of Gregory and Clark, 407-297-9696 or 855-297-9696. The new foreclosure fast-track bill sits on the governor's desk at the time we're speaking. I want to point that out. Who knows what's going to happen in 5 minutes. He's got 15 days to decide whether he wants to sign this or not. Now, we do have, because I was going to have to be the devil's advocate, but now we've got Larry bailing me out from Winter Garden. Larry, I want to thank you so much for bailing me out, because I cannot be the devil's advocate on this thing. But go right ahead. You can.
Put yourself in my situation.
Got it.
I get up every day. I go to work. I make my house payment on time. I keep my yard clean. And somebody gets a loan that maybe they shouldn't have got. But now it's time for me to refinance, and the bank makes them short sell their house. And now they tell me that my home value isn't what it should have been. And I put 40% down on my house. So now I've got to refinance. You know, I would like to refinance to take advantage of the low interest that's out there now. And then they tell me I don't have equity in my house because my neighbor short-sold his house for $40,000 less than he paid for it. But, you know, I can't sue anybody at that point. I can't go and sue the bank because they short-sold the house, because that's their right. But, you know, I think we'd be better off foreclosing on these people and, make me sound like a jerk, get them out of our neighborhoods and get people in there that can make the house payment so it doesn't affect our home value.
Well, they can a lot of times. We already make their house payment. What it is when they did lose their job or their hours got cut in half, they fell on hard times, and they asked the bank to help them. They asked the bank to potentially lower their payment a little bit. They don't even want principal reductions. They just want their payment to be affordable to where they can afford it and stay in your neighborhood and continue to cut the grass and make your home values stay up. The banks have made loan modifications so difficult that a lot of your neighbors did elect to do a short sale because they tried to do a loan mod, and the bank wouldn't do it. On the other hand, Larry, back in 2006 when the market was twice as much as it is now, a lot of this was fake, and a lot of this was fake and created by these lenders who were jumping over each other to lend money to your neighbor, even if your neighbor couldn't quite afford it. Now, yes, your neighbor probably shouldn't have gone and gotten that house because they probably couldn't afford it, but they had some loan officer sitting there saying, you can absolutely afford it. Look, here we're going to do this, 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 and this, and then in 2 years you can refinance it or you can flip it and you'll make some money. The bank created a lot of this. I understand your neighbor probably got a bigger house than they should have. However, this was initiated a lot by the bank in 2006. They were killing each other for these loans on these big houses, and that's what really created this huge bust.
Let me ask you this. In your professional opinion, you've been watching this since the beginning. Will Larry be better off when 200,000 homes get on the market and the market dives in price?
I believe no. I believe Larry wants a steady increase, which is really being helped out by the fact that the foreclosures are going slow, so we don't have such an influx of houses on the market all at once. But also, Larry, let me tell you, because of what's happened, there are a lot of programs out there, even if you're underwater, that might help you lower your interest rate as it is now. I don't know what your income is, but if you take your gross monthly income, 31% of that should be your payment. So if you're paying more than that, you need to look into a modification. If you have Fannie or Freddie, you need to look into the HARP program, which can also help lower your payment if you're underwater. If you're FHA or VA, you need to look into the FHA or VA Streamline, which also helps you do a refinance even if you're underwater. A lot of programs out there for you as well, Larry, you should look into.
You can find more Behind the Law on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Gregory and Clark, where there's plenty of past episodes with valuable information on how to save your home from the mortgage companies. Check it out.
Ask your question live. Tune into FM 96.5 WDBO Sundays at noon and ask Justin your question.
So in other words, the next 3 years, 33% will go away every year that I make my payments on time at a 2% loan.
Right.
How risky is this?
Stay tuned. Justin Clark will be right back with more Behind the Law. Welcome back to Behind the Law, the show that takes you behind the law and answers your toughest legal questions.
Hey, welcome back to Behind the Law featuring Justin Clark of Gregory and Clark, 407-297-9696 or 855-297-9696. Hey, let's go to Joshua in Winter Park real quick. Josh, you're on the air.
Yes. I owe $288,000 on my townhome, and fighting for custody of my children for 4 years, I fell into a foreclosure, and the mortgage company just offered to do debt forgiveness of $175,000, meaning that I would only owe $115,000 in a shared appreciation mortgage. Mm-hmm. So in other words, the next 3 years, 33% will go away every year that I make my payments on time at a 2% loan.
Right.
How risky is this? Or are they going to hit me with a 1099, or is this a good deal?
To me, it's a great deal. We've been seeing a lot of these lately. And what it essentially says is we're going to lower your interest rate to 2%. We're also going to reduce some of the principal. So his payment's going to be more affordable, and he's not nearly as far underwater. And these programs, you do share whatever equity that you gain with the bank, but it's typically very little that goes to the bank. And you will get a 1099. However, fortunately, if you're living in the house at your primary home, the Mortgage Debt Relief Act says you don't pay any taxes on forgiven debt on your primary home. If you like the house, you want to stay there, and the payment that they're proposing is affordable, which is going to be relatively low on 288 at 2% with some debt forgiveness. You just got a great deal, Joshua. You should go celebrate tonight.
Let me ask you this. If the governor does see fit to sign this bill, is it more important than ever for people to get to your office as soon as they know that their wife may be laid off and they might not be able to make the house payment?
Absolutely. Get here as soon as you can. For so many years we've been saying, don't worry, we have time, we have time. If this goes through, time is not on our side any longer. You need to call a lawyer immediately. You can go to gregory-clark.com, 321-282-1055. We got to get ahead of this stuff right now, Rob.
And I'm sure that you all are working behind the scenes to try to figure out some way to get a stay and to get some of this on hold. That'll wrap up our discussion on the new faster foreclosure bill, but there's still so much to talk about that could save your home. So if you have questions, give the offices of Gregory and Clark a call right now at 321-282-1055. There's never a charge for a consultation, and it could save your home. We'll see you again next week right here on TV 27.
Thank you for watching Behind the Law with Justin Clark. Be sure to join us again next week as Justin takes you behind the law and answers your legal questions.